Alright guys, welcome back. This is Gladiator Trader here. Today was day 24 of my paper trading account. And the picture you see up here is from yesterday, day 23 of my paper trading account. Today is November 7, 2017. I recorded a video last night that I couldn't post due to my sound issues that I've been having with my screen recorder. And I am in the process of right now trying to find another one. Hopefully I come across something that I could use and that's at a decent price range, so I can buy it if I have to, and start recording my videos properly again every night and start posting them. So hopefully this one doesn't have any problem, and I'm able to post this. So let's get into it. This one, what we're looking at here from yesterday, I traded tops yesterday. My only trade from yesterday was TOPS tops, one of the biggest leading market gainer at the end of the day. Did really well yesterday. And then today, going in, that's also what I traded today. But today wasn't as big of a J, although it was a green day. So now, last week, if you guys remember, I had 8 consecutive red days last week, earlier last week, and also the week before. I basically had 8 consecutive red days, and then last Friday I had a green trade, yesterday I had a green trade, and today I had a green trade. So I'm kind of back into the green. My account's back up again, around almost $1,100. In the past few days I've been able to make some money back, and it feels good. So hopefully I'm hoping to keep this green streak going. And after today we'll go over the trade from today, and today was a pretty good day just because I was very calm and very collective, and I only went in when I thought there was an opportunity, and then once it didn't work out I bailed out and I protected myself, and I just didn't jump into anything else, because nothing really else was moving, but also I just didn't take any stupid decisions today. I didn't make any stupid decisions today. I just kind of stuck to my goal, my rules, and just kind of be like, you know what, I don't need to trade if I don't have to. So we'll just let me show you the picture. So this is from today. I'm $15 on the day with with commissions and stuff, and then yesterday I had a good day. It was up 358. Again, both days I traded tops, and today I had GLBS here as well, which I'll explain. It was a hot finger or a hot key error basically, and I just kind of jumped in thinking I jumped in at tops, but apparently my level 2 was selected on GLBS, and that's the one that got in. So as you can see in the back here, GLBS was down here, right there, and I just had that, my mouse was on there, and I thought it was on tops, but I mistakenly got into GLBS, which luckily I got out break even, and same thing with tops, both right here, the first 2 trades, GLBS and tops, was both mistakes, because I got into GLBS thinking I was in tops, and then I decided to add into tops at a certain point, but then I realized that I was in GLBS and not tops from my first position, so then I just sold both of them just because I didn't feel comfortable at that point. And luckily I got out break even on both, except the commission, which is alright, and then I got in again in tops at 309. Well, I wanted to jump in at 315. Luckily I got a good good fill on that at 309, and then I sold at 3 where did I sell? So I got in at 309, and then I added some at 320, and then I ended up selling at 318. So my average was basically 315 at that time. So we'll go over the trade here. Let me just pause the video here, and I'll come back with the charts. Alright, so this is basically from yesterday. So I'll just go quickly over a trade from yesterday, just because I feel like it was a really good trade, and it's good if I just document it here. So basically tops, DCIX, as most of you guys know, was a leading shipper on Friday, and that kind of brought in some momentum Monday onto the shipping stock. So tops obviously hasn't moved much. Pre-market it was going up, it was gapping up, and so all eyes were on it. People were talking about it everywhere. My chat room, we were looking at it too, and as the market was coming close, we're like, okay, we're probably gonna jump into this. I decided to jump in on the break of this right here at a pre-market high, and I believe I put my order at 115. Luckily I got filled at 112, which was nice, and then it popped right over up to the 129s, and as it started running, I jumped in with 1,000 shares. As it started running, got over the pre-market high, I was scaling out. Obviously way too early, but I just wanted to lock in some profits because usually the first candle can sometimes get basically crushed because a lot of sellers can come in, people can just take their profits, and it just drops. So I just wanted to scale out as it was moving up. So I was scaling out basically all over in this first candle here. And then I believe I had about 300 shares left, and this candle basically volume was still coming in, it was still moving, it was looking good. And as it came up to 144 right here, I decided to add, because I was thinking this might just break, this might actually just keep moving, and we might have a massive morning spike. So I'm going to add on for the break of 150. So I decided to add another 1,000 shares, which brought my average to, I believe, 137. Or 135, something like that. It brought my average to up there, and as soon as I added, it pulled back, and I was like, oh, maybe it wasn't a good place to add. And this, one of the reasons I actually wanted to document this was because a great lesson I learned here. One thing I learned, and I've kind of heard of it in the past, this is the only first time that I ever scaled up on a stock like this, where I kind of got to realize what that lesson was that I heard on a podcast. The lesson was basically, you never want to add to a winning position just because you're in the winning position. You wanna think of it as you're in no position, and if you were to get into a position, where would you get in? So keeping that in mind, it hit me right after I added. As soon as I added, and my entry on that was 143. As soon as I added 1,000 shares at 143, brought my average up to 135. This started pulling back, and as this pulled back, now obviously I'm in the red. So I started thinking, I was like, well, was that a good place to add? For me to add up. Just because I was up doesn't mean I had to add there. Although I was looking for the break of 150, maybe I could have added for the break of 150 because that's what I've gotten in if I wasn't in the stock. But me getting in the 140, 141 when it's nowhere close to 150, that's problem. And as it pulled back and it started running up again. Now, as this was coming up, I was like, this whole 1 minute as I was holding, I was thinking of the lesson I learned on the podcast. I was like, you always want to add when you would be getting into position long if you were in no position at all. So as this started coming up, I decided to add again. I was like, you know what? If I was to do it right, I would have added right here on the break of first 1 minute pullback, basically the first 1 minute candle to make a new high. So I decided to add another 1,000 shares. It brought my average. Now I have 2,300 some shares, and I have an average of $1.37. So 137, not bad, and it starts running. As it starts running, I sold some in the 140. I think I sold about 1,000 shares at 148. Then this candle started. Now I'm in control at this point. I'm in the driver's seat just because my average around 137. I've sold 1,000. I have about 1,200 shares left, and this is still moving up. It breaks 150, and then I started selling some more. I sold, I think, 300 in the 155s or something, and then I sold some more in the 160s, basically all the way up here. I think my last end to sell was 163, but I still had about 600 shares left. So, and then it got halted. As it got halted, I'm like, okay, nice. It got halted as it was moving up. Chances are it's gonna open a bit high. At the same time, DCIX got halted just before this as this move was coming up. Because DCIX got halted, I think a lot of people jumped into tops, which kind of squeezed this up a bit more. As it got halted, I was like, DCIX is halted, this is halted. DCIX was halted as it was going up. Tops is halted as it's going up. Most likely it's going to open higher. So I was holding that 616 shares, I believe it was exactly. As soon as it opened at 150. So I didn't like it. First, I thought, you know what, it opened lower. It might actually push through here, the 164, and go even higher. But it didn't. As it came up, it couldn't get through, and it started going down. As it was going down, as soon as it got break even, basically, as soon as it got past 137, right around here, basically right there, 137, I bailed out at 136, I think it was, or 135. I sold my 616 shares, and I was all out of the position with a profit of $358 in total. And that was it. That was it was about $280 because I did have one more trade on it. I took a trade on the break of this right here. As it came back up, DCIX was open at this time, and DCI was coming back up. As it came back up, break of higher day 164, I went in for a quick scalp. I got in 1,000 shares at 163, and I sold the whole position at 172, right around here. As soon as this candle started popping up, I bailed out at 172 just because I wanted just a quick scalp on that one. So Took about $80-90 on that. Total profits came up to 358, and I was done for the day. After that, I didn't take any more trades just because I was already up on the day. I exceeded my daily goal, and I just wanted to stay on the sideline after that. And nothing really kind of looked good after that anyways. On all these, even on the 5-minute chart I was looking, it didn't really look good. So anyways, this was from yesterday, and I'll just bring up the today's chart in a second. Alright, so this was my today's trade, Tops. Now, as Tops was basically opened up, pre-market, Tops was crazy today. It had almost 8 million share in volume, and it was basically grinding from yesterday, low 160 or mid or I guess high 160, 180s or so, all the way up today pre-market to the high of 337. Now, as this opened up, I kind of realized, I was like, you know what, it's going to be really crowded, and I was telling that in my chat room as well. I was like, it's going to be a little crowded. Most likely it's not going to have, a lot of people are long biased on this now, and it might just be a lot crowded, then it might not have any more room to run. So I'm going to be careful. There's no way I'm getting on it on the first candle or the second candle. I'm going to let it kind of make up its mind and give me a good entry point. So as soon as it opened up, break of this 337 all the way up to 345, but at 355. But as you can see, it was pretty quick. It popped over and then goes red on the day. As it went red on the day, I was like, you know what? This could potentially give us a good red to green setup. So if it goes back green on the day, if it goes back this 338 point, or 335, I will look to jump in for a back move high for the high of day, 355. It continues to go lower, but it starts holding this 275 level was the support. Got tested it once, came back up, tested it again, came back up. As it started coming back up, I was watching this on the 5-minute setup, so that's why I have the 5-minute chart here. I was like, you know what, the first 5-minute candle to make a new high, I'll jump in for a potential move back to the red to green move, back to going green on the day. So green, basically what I mean when I say going green on the day is going above the opening price. So if it opened at 335, I want to see it go above 335, right? And that's what we're looking for. So as it starts curling back up, this candle right here was the first candle to make a new high on the 5-minute. So I jumped in right here so the high was 310. I jumped in, I placed an order for 310, I think it was, or 312, but I got filled at 309, which was nice. Get in at 309, and it starts popping up right here. As soon as it got over this candle right here, I decided to add. So I jumped in with 500 shares just because I wanted to take a small position today, because it wasn't my go-to setup. It wasn't something that was 100% going to work, and that is why I decided to jump in small. Because if it was a break of red to green move, if it was going back past 335 or 338, 340, I probably would have jumped in a bit aggressively, maybe a 2,000 share, 3,000 share position for a quick squeeze back up to the high of day, potential break of high of day. I would have been scaling out as that move happened. But since this wasn't a super confident setup where I knew it could squeeze, I just wanted to go in small. So I jumped in with 500 shares for the break of 310, got in at 309. It pops over, goes above 320, so above this candle. As soon as I started seeing volume coming in, I pressed another 500 buy, get in. Now my average was 1,000 shares, around 315, I think it was 315. I got in at 315 now, 1,000 shares, and it gets to basically next target I was looking for was break of this candle, the 329. I was like, if it breaks 329, now we have a good chance of it going green on the day, and that's what I'm gonna look for. It gets over to 330 and it fails. It couldn't stay above 329, 330, even 325 area, right? Couldn't stay above that. And as I saw the weakness in it, because it came down to the 319, 318, gets popped over again, 320, 321, and just can't seem to really go for that push, really that big volume to come in for it to move even higher. And as I kind of noticed the weakness, I decided to bail out. I got out at 318, so just above my my entry, and that's how I ended up with $15 today. And after that, I was just kind of like, this was already around 950. By the time I was done with this, it was almost reaching 30 minutes into the market. I have to leave for work in another 30 minutes, and just nothing else. Our log was another one that was running today, but I just didn't really see any play in that until, you know, obviously later it did ended up going even higher. But at that point I just didn't see anything in it because I figure, you know, it's probably a sympathy play to tops, DCIX or something like that. So I'm just gonna stay away from it, just because it wasn't, you know, the first or the second day of those stocks running. It was the third day, and other stocks, you know, tops wasn't really moving as much, DCIX was going down, so I just stayed away from it. But you know, today was a good trade just because I was very conscious of what was going on with the level 2s, and I kind of read it and I was like, you know what, if it was to move, it would have moved, because yesterday was a really strong stock. So if it's not moving today, it's probably not as strong. Let's just bail out. And I bailed out, protected myself. And the mistake I had earlier with GLBS and tops was a hotkey mistake. I got into GLBS thinking I was in tops, and next thing I know, I'm in GLBS and I'm in tops. I have 2 open positions, and I'm usually not good at watching 2 stocks at the same time, so I just bailed out on both. Luckily, it was still around the price I got in, so I was able to get out at the same price, and I didn't lose anything except the commission, so which is all right, not a problem at all. And then I ended up making that back today anyways and closed the day up 15. So that's pretty much it, guys. I really hope this video goes through because I think there's a lot of good lessons in it, especially from yesterday's trade, where, you know, how to scale up. I think that was my biggest lesson, is how and when to scale up, and also for today is realize that if the stock has strength and you got in at a good entry, it should be doing what you think it's going to be doing. And if it gives you a little sign and you feel that, you get that little gut feeling like, oh man, this is not doing what I think it would at these price levels, it's so much better to just bail out. Even if you go bail out with, you know, 1 or 2 cents loss, it's so much better to bail out. And you know what, if the stock does turn around and does end up doing what you did think it will, you know what, that's fine, because that's just missing out on profits. But what if it doesn't do what you think it was going to do, and now you're stubborn, and now you're down 10 cents or 15 cents or 20 cents, and that what's happened to me in the past 8 days when I was losing is because I was constantly trying to go against the markets. If the market's telling me, and same thing with Friday, I had a big trade on Friday, you know, made $600, and again, I couldn't recap that video just because of my sound problems, and I just don't want to go all the way back. I'm not even sure if this video is going to work, but you know, because of that, XNet, I went short and I just kept adding. Luckily, I made money on that, but it was not a good trade. I would never in my lifetime do it again. But today, I felt like with this trade, I felt really confident. Me getting in where I wanted to get in, what I wanted to see, the price levels I was looking at, the areas, the price action, what I was looking at, the areas I wanted it to cross and really cross with conviction, and you know, it just could not do that. So I got out and I protected myself, and next thing you know, it did go down here. If I was still in it and I was like, no, it's gonna move, I probably would have ended up selling at 3 or 295 or maybe 280, right? It would have not have been a good day. So thanks for watching, guys. We'll be back tomorrow. Hopefully, you know, there's still some momentum in the market tomorrow, and you know, my mind's still hopefully you know, thinking straight, and I can take advantage of some other good plays and hopefully make the right moves and you know, come out on top again. So we'll see each other tomorrow, and hopefully this video is good. If you made it this far, don't forget to subscribe.